Infidelity is one of the most painful experiences a relationship can endure. While not every suspicion of infidelity is justified, certain behaviors and patterns may indicate that something isn't right. Understanding these signs can help you navigate the difficult situation with clarity and poise. This video delves deeply into 6 common signs of infidelity, offering insights, examples, and advice on how to approach this sensitive topic. Imagine this: you're sitting across from your spouse, and something feels off. You can't put your finger on it, but their behavior has changed. They're distant, distracted, maybe even secretive. Could it be stress? Work? Or, is there something deeper happening? In this video, we're diving into a topic no one wants to face but many need to understand: the 6 subtle but telling signs your spouse might be having an affair. These signs can sometimes hide in plain sight, masked by excuses, routine, or even your own willingness to believe everything is okay. But here's the thing: knowledge is power. Spotting these signs early can give you clarity and help you navigate a path forward, whatever that may be. So, if you've been feeling unsure, uneasy, or just want to learn how to protect your relationship, stay with us. These signs might surprise you, but they could also give you the answers you've been searching for. Let's uncover the truth, together. Sign 1: Sudden changes in behavior. One of the most noticeable signs of infidelity is a dramatic shift in your spouse's behavior. This can take many forms, from increased secrecy to a sudden focus on physical appearance or an inexplicable shift in their daily routines. Often, these changes are subtle at first but become more pronounced over time, leaving you wondering what has caused the shift. What to watch for: grooming habits and appearance. A spouse who suddenly begins to pay extra attention to their grooming or wardrobe without a clear reason might be seeking to impress someone else. Examples include buying a new cologne, updating their wardrobe, or spending significantly more time on personal care. Increased secrecy. New passwords on phones or computers, clearing browser histories, or becoming protective of their devices could indicate they're hiding something. Watch for behaviors like taking calls in private or stepping out of the room when texting. Changes in social patterns. Spending more time at work, new hobbies that don't include you, or going out with friends you've never met are all potential signs. Behavioral patterns. Avoidance and defensiveness. A cheating spouse may avoid confrontation or become defensive when questioned. They might accuse you of being paranoid or overreacting as a way to deflect attention from their actions. Unusual routines. Noticeable changes in their schedule, such as working late or frequent business trips, could be red flags, especially if these activities weren't part of their normal pattern before. Mood swings or irritability. Stress from leading a double life can manifest as irritability or impatience with you, even over minor issues. Case studies. Case study 1: the new gym routine. Emily noticed her husband, Mike, suddenly became obsessed with fitness. While he had never been one to go to the gym, he started spending hours there every evening. When Emily asked to join him, he quickly discouraged her. Suspicious, she eventually discovered he was meeting someone from work under the guise of his workout routine. Case study 2: the locked phone. Sarah found her husband, Tom, had added a password to his phone for the first time in their marriage. When she casually asked for it, he became defensive, claiming he needed privacy. After weeks of secrecy, she uncovered that Tom had been exchanging messages with an old flame. Sign 2: emotional distance. Infidelity often creates a rift in emotional intimacy, as the cheating spouse withdraws to focus their emotional energy elsewhere. This detachment is often one of the most painful aspects of an affair, leaving the non-cheating partner feeling isolated and confused. Indicators. Reduced communication. Conversations become shallow, focusing only on mundane topics like bills or schedules. Your spouse may avoid meaningful discussions or seem disinterested when you try to engage emotionally. Lack of affection. Physical touch, verbal affirmations, and small gestures of love may dwindle. Intimacy, both physical and emotional, might feel forced or absent altogether. A sense of detachment. Your spouse might seem checked out of the relationship, spending less time with you and more time alone or with friends. Psychological insights. The emotional fallout of an affair. Cheating often creates an emotional imbalance, as the spouse engaging in infidelity feels guilt, fear of being caught, or a sense of escape with their affair partner. These conflicting emotions can make them pull away from their primary relationship, either consciously or unconsciously. Why emotional barriers form. In many cases, the cheating spouse might justify their behavior by emotionally distancing themselves from their partner, telling themselves the relationship was already flawed. This psychological detachment creates a buffer that allows them to maintain the affair without overwhelming guilt. Rebuilding emotional intimacy. Address the distance. Start by expressing your concerns calmly and without accusations. Use "I feel" statements to avoid putting your spouse on the defensive. Encourage open communication about what might be causing the emotional gap, whether it's related to infidelity or not. Seek professional help. Couples therapy can provide a neutral space to explore the root causes of emotional withdrawal and rebuild trust. A trained counselor can help facilitate honest discussions and offer tools to reconnect emotionally. Focus on rekindling connection. Plan intentional quality time together, such as date nights, shared hobbies, or even short trips, to help reignite your bond. Practice active listening and empathy during conversations to create a safe space for vulnerability. Case studies. Case study 1, The Silent Partner. After years of marriage, Lisa noticed her husband, Dan, had stopped sharing his feelings. Their conversations felt transactional, and he no longer seemed interested in their once shared evening walks. It turned out Dan had been emotionally invested in a coworker, using work as an escape from the growing emotional gap in their marriage. Case study 2, The Missing Affection. Mark felt his wife, Jenna, had become cold and distant. She avoided physical affection and rarely smiled in his presence. When confronted, Jenna confessed she felt disconnected after months of secretly messaging an old college friend. Sign 3, Unexplained Absences. One of the most significant red flags in a relationship is unexplained or frequent absences. When your spouse begins to spend more time away from home, especially without providing clear explanations, it can lead to feelings of confusion, suspicion, and distrust. If this behavior becomes a pattern, it may be a sign that something is amiss. Patterns to notice. Unusual work hours. One of the most common excuses for unexplained absences is work. However, if your spouse's work schedule suddenly changes, with increased overtime, late-night meetings, or unexpected travel, this can raise suspicions. While work commitments can be legitimate, if these hours seem erratic and coincidental with the pattern of absence, it might indicate something else. Pay attention if your spouse is no longer transparent about what they're doing at work or if they're more focused on work than ever before, even during supposed off hours. Sudden or unexplained trips. A sudden trip that doesn't seem planned or doesn't include you might be a sign of an affair. These trips might be short and without clear details, and they may not align with previous vacation plans or habits. Watch for discrepancies in the stories your spouse tells about where they were or who they were with. If the details don't add up or if they are defensive about answering questions, it's worth being cautious. Secretive outings. If your spouse is going out more frequently without you, especially when they haven't previously been social, this could be a sign of infidelity. They may come home later than usual, mention vague plans, or simply refuse to tell you about the outing. Secretive outings, especially without much detail, may suggest they are trying to conceal something. If these outings are increasingly regular, they may signal a deeper issue. Technology use. How technology, e.g., phone GPS or text messages, can reveal inconsistencies. Inconsistent location data. In the digital age, our phones often reveal where we are. If you have access to your spouse's phone or device location, inconsistencies in their whereabouts might stand out. For example, if they claim to be at work but the phone GPS shows they're elsewhere, it's worth noting. Even without directly checking their phone, noticing that they often switch off their location sharing feature or become evasive when you ask where they've been can be a warning sign. Inconsistent text messages or phone calls. Unexplained or secretive phone use, especially during absences, is another key indicator of potential infidelity. Pay attention to when and where your spouse is texting or calling, especially if they are suddenly more protective about their phone. If your spouse receives frequent late-night texts or becomes defensive about the contact details in their phone, it may be worth digging deeper. Communication strategies: how to approach your partner about unexplained absences. Stay calm and avoid accusations. The first step in confronting your spouse about unexplained absences is to stay calm. Approach the situation without making immediate accusations. Saying something like, "I've noticed you've been gone a lot lately, and I'm feeling uncertain about it," is much more productive than launching into a confrontation. Be open to hearing their explanation, but also trust your instincts. If their behavior feels off, it's okay to express concern without sounding accusatory. Focus on how it makes you feel. Frame your concerns in terms of how their absences are affecting you. This approach helps avoid sounding confrontational and centers the conversation around your emotional needs. For example, "I feel lonely and disconnected when you're gone so often and don't share where you're going. I miss spending time with you." Try to keep the conversation open and let your spouse know that you are looking to understand their perspective, not just accuse them of wrongdoing. Ask direct questions. While it's important to avoid accusations, being direct with your questions is also necessary. Asking specific questions like, "Where were you last night?" or "Who were you with on the weekend?" can provide clarity, but be prepared for deflection or defensiveness. Pay attention to how they respond. Evading the question, being overly vague, or becoming agitated could signal that they are hiding something. Sign 4. Increased use of technology. In today's digital world, technology plays an undeniable role in infidelity. Many people use their phones, computers, and social media platforms to facilitate emotional or physical affairs. Increased use of technology, especially when it's hidden or secretive, can be a major indicator that something is wrong in the relationship. Signs of digital secrecy: password changes, deleted messages, or private browsing. Password changes or locking devices. If your spouse suddenly changes their passwords, locks their devices, or becomes very protective of their phone or laptop, it might indicate they're hiding something. In relationships where privacy isn't an issue, sharing passwords or being open about device use is common. If this openness shifts to secrecy, it may signal a problem. Deleted messages or call logs. Pay attention to whether messages or call logs are frequently deleted or if your spouse becomes evasive when you ask about certain people or conversations. Deleted messages or calls can be an attempt to hide evidence of infidelity. Be mindful of any inconsistencies you notice between what your spouse says and what you see on their devices. Private browsing or hidden apps. If your spouse suddenly starts using incognito or private browsing modes, or installs apps that they've never used before, it might indicate they're trying to keep their online activities a secret. Certain apps or messaging platforms, such as encrypted messaging services, may be used to hide communication with someone outside the relationship. The role of social media: how online platforms can facilitate emotional or physical affairs. Excessive social media use. Social media is a prime platform for people to connect with others, including potential affair partners. If your spouse becomes more active on social media, particularly if they're engaging with people you don't know or discussing private matters with them, it's worth noting. Watch for frequent interactions with a person they never mentioned before or odd interactions that seem overly flirtatious. If they hide these interactions or become defensive when questioned about them, there may be a deeper issue. Emotional or flirtatious interactions. Affairs often start emotionally before they become physical. If your spouse starts sharing personal feelings or discussing intimate details of your relationship with someone online, this could be a sign they're emotionally invested elsewhere. Flirtatious comments, romantic exchanges, or inside jokes with someone who isn't you are a red flag that the relationship may have crossed a boundary. Healthy technology boundaries, setting expectations for transparency in a relationship. Establishing boundaries together. One way to address digital secrecy is by setting clear boundaries around technology use as a couple. This can involve agreeing to share passwords, communicate openly about who you're talking to, and setting expectations for what is acceptable online behavior. Having these conversations early in a relationship helps prevent misunderstandings and creates a healthy atmosphere of transparency. Setting expectations for privacy. While transparency is important, it's also essential to understand that some privacy is healthy in relationships. Setting boundaries around certain personal matters, like financial information or work-related communications, can maintain a healthy sense of individual privacy. However, if one partner is completely closed off and unwilling to share information or show any vulnerability, this could be an unhealthy sign that they're hiding something. Case studies. Case study 1, the locked phone. Laura had always had open access to her husband David's phone, but recently, he started locking it and being very protective about his messages. When she asked about it, he claimed it was because of work, but her gut feeling told her something was off. After a few months of suspicious behavior, Laura discovered an affair via hidden messages on his phone. Case study 2, the secretive online friend. Tom noticed his wife Kelly had started spending more time on her phone, often engaging with a friend on social media he didn't know. After noticing late-night chats and messages that seemed flirtatious, Tom confronted her. She confessed to developing an emotional connection with someone online, which ultimately led to an affair. Sign 5, financial irregularities. One of the less discussed but critical signs of infidelity is financial irregularities. Affairs often leave a financial trail, whether it's through unexplained expenses, hidden accounts, or unexpected withdrawals. When your spouse is trying to conceal something, financial discrepancies can be a way they attempt to cover their tracks. If your spouse is suddenly more secretive about their spending habits or becomes defensive about financial matters, this could be a significant warning sign. What to look for? Unexplained expenses. If you notice unusual or unexplained expenses on your joint credit card, bank account, or receipts, it may be a red flag. For instance, charges for hotels, restaurants, or gifts that don't make sense within the context of your relationship could suggest your spouse is using money to cover up an affair. These charges may seem small at first, perhaps a few extra dinners or small purchases, but if they add up over time, they could point to an affair. Hidden accounts. Sometimes, individuals who are having an affair open secret bank accounts or credit cards to keep their spending hidden. They may do this by using a separate account for expenses related to their affair, such as gifts, hotel stays, or other activities. And keep this account secret from you. Check for unexplained or unfamiliar bank statements. If your spouse has access to online banking, monitor for any accounts that you are unaware of, especially if large sums of money are being transferred or withdrawn. Irregular withdrawals or large cash withdrawals. Large or frequent cash withdrawals could be a sign that your spouse is trying to keep their affair discreet. Cash is harder to trace than credit or debit card payments, and if your spouse is withdrawing large sums of money without clear explanations, it could be linked to their affair. Keep an eye out for any discrepancies between what your spouse earns and their spending habits. If there is a significant mismatch, it could be an indication they're hiding money for illicit purposes. Examples: real-life scenarios of financial discrepancies linked to infidelity. Case Study 1, the mysterious hotel bill. Michelle was always on top of the household finances and noticed a charge for a hotel room she didn't recognize. Her husband, Jack, brushed it off, saying it was a business trip charge he hadn't explained. However, when Michelle dug deeper, she found Jack had paid for multiple nights at hotels in a different city, one that was not part of any business trip he had mentioned. After further investigation, Michelle uncovered Jack's affair through hotel receipts, revealing his secret weekend getaways. Case Study 2, The Hidden Credit Card. Tim started noticing odd charges on the joint credit card account, expensive dinners, gifts, and travel expenses. When he asked his wife, Amanda, about them, she claimed they were business-related. However, when he cross-referenced the dates of these transactions with her calendar, they didn't align with any business events. After a closer look, Tim found a second credit card in Amanda's name with charges that matched the same pattern. Eventually, Amanda admitted to having an affair and using the card to cover the expenses of her affair partner. Protecting yourself, steps to ensure financial security during marital uncertainty. Monitor your accounts. Keep track of all joint accounts, including bank statements, credit card bills, and investments. Look for any unusual activity, such as large withdrawals, unfamiliar expenses, or accounts that you didn't know about. Set up alerts with your bank to notify you of significant transactions so you can stay updated without relying solely on your spouse's explanation. Secure your finances. If you suspect infidelity, it's important to take steps to protect your financial future. Consider setting up your own individual accounts if you don't already have them. If necessary, consult with a financial advisor to understand your legal and financial rights, particularly if you are considering divorce or separation. Consult with a lawyer. If you're in a marriage where infidelity or financial discrepancies are present, it may be wise to consult with a divorce lawyer or a financial expert to discuss your options. Legal counsel can guide you in understanding your rights, securing assets, and protecting your financial interests. Sign 6, Gut Instincts and Intuition. Sometimes, the most powerful tool in detecting infidelity is something that isn't based on evidence but on your gut feeling. Intuition is often dismissed as being irrational, but in reality, it's your subconscious processing small signals and patterns that your conscious mind might miss. If your instincts are telling you that something is wrong, it's important to listen and explore why you're feeling this way. The science of intuition, how your subconscious picks up on red flags. Unconscious pattern recognition. Your brain is constantly processing information, even when you're not actively aware of it. It picks up on patterns of behavior, changes in your spouse's routine, or inconsistencies in their stories that might not immediately be apparent to your conscious mind. For example, if you suddenly notice a shift in their tone of voice, body language, or routine, your subconscious is likely detecting a change that might indicate something is off. Emotional cues. When infidelity occurs, it often generates emotional tension in the relationship. Your body reacts to these emotions subconsciously, which is why you might feel uneasy, anxious, or suspicious even if there's no clear reason for it. These emotional cues are your body's way of alerting you to potential threats. Your gut feeling may be based on small but significant changes in your spouse's behavior that you've unconsciously noticed. Balancing instinct and evidence, avoiding false accusations while trusting your gut. Don't jump to conclusions. While your gut feeling can be a valuable tool, it's essential to balance intuition with evidence. Avoid making accusations based solely on your suspicions or feelings. Instead, try to gather concrete information, whether through open communication, reviewing behavioral patterns, or seeking professional advice. False accusations can harm the relationship, so it's important to approach the situation with caution and respect for your spouse's perspective. Ask directly but gently. If your intuition is telling you something is wrong, it's time to have a calm and open conversation with your spouse. Express your feelings without being confrontational, and allow them the opportunity to explain themselves. Phrasing your concerns gently, like, "I've been feeling a little disconnected lately and would like to talk about it," can prevent the conversation from escalating into a defensive exchange. Self-care, how to stay grounded while addressing your concerns. Focus on your well-being. When you sense something is wrong, it can be emotionally draining. Practicing self-care is essential during this time. Prioritize your mental health by engaging in activities that help you stay centered and grounded. Take time for yourself through exercise, hobbies, or social connections that nurture your well-being. This helps you maintain clarity and make better decisions when addressing the issues in your relationship. Seek support. Trusting your intuition doesn't mean you have to go through this alone. Reach out to trusted friends, family, or a therapist for support. Talking through your feelings can provide clarity and help you process your emotions more effectively.